Bays Mountain, and we're talking with Rhonda Goins today. Hello, Rhonda. How are you?
Hi, I'm good.
Good. And Rhonda, how long have you been with Bays Mountain?
Well, I first started out here as an intern, day camp intern. And then, you know, I kind of wedged my way in to be a naturalist about 21 years ago.
Wow.
I know.
What all different things have you done while you've been here at Bays Mountain during that time?
Oh my gosh, I started out as day camp, so I done day camp for 3 months, and then I was a volunteer to keep my foot in the door, and then I was hired for a part-time naturalist like Crystal is, and then after a while I got full-time naturalist, and then I just wanted to do the wolves, and so I'm wolf lady, and then now I'm snake lady, and whatever I've done, I do all the books and all the paperwork, USDA, TWRA, all the laws and all that stuff, and I design I design everybody's food, their diets and medicines, and tranquilizers, and I do all that stuff. And
Wow.
it's fun. You know, it's fun.
I'd say it is. Now, we're going to be talking about a couple of snakes today, and do they have names?
Yes, they do. The black king snake is named Sable, and the corn snake is named Carly.
Okay. Now, how many snakes do you all have here at Bays Mountain?
In the 20s, 25. We get more, you know, we try to get more because during this COVID stuff, we've got more, of course, you know, we had to still take care of the animals. So we've got more, more animals, more frogs, so when people come, it'll be ready. So we've got 3 little garter snakes. They're just a doll, you know, because garter snakes are really aggravation, and they like to bite you all the time. These are dolls. They just eat right out of your hand. So it'll be ready for the kids to see that.
Sure.
Yeah, we have turtles, frogs, salamanders in there.
Now,
and
what
snakes.
is this building actually called?
This is called the Herpetarium, which includes amphibians and reptiles. So the Herpetarium, because it would be a different name if it was just, it would be a reptarium. So this is a herpetarium, so we can house all kind of reptiles and snakes, and amphibians, frogs, salamanders.
Cool. And so the snakes that you are showing today, are they native to this area?
Yes, all the snakes that we have, everything that we have in captivity in Bays Mountain Park are native, except those little turtles that the red ears, they're native now because people made them native. They bought them at the, Daytona, and they bought them here and bought them there. And I don't want them anymore. They're this big. Well, they live 80 years. So they're native now because people made them native. Kind of like Florida and the boas and stuff.
Yes.
But this is a black king snake. There's 3 black snakes where we live. There's a black rat. We call black rat, but its real name, they changed its name to gray rat. I have no idea, but I still call it black rat. And then there's a black racer and there's a black king. They're all different. They're different species. And then a corn snake.
Okay.
I'm going to get them out.
Okay.
We have 32 species of snakes in Tennessee. 23 only in East Tennessee, on only 2 venomous ones. In the state of Tennessee, we've got 4 venomous ones, so we're kind of half. So we're colder than the rest of the state of Tennessee, so we've got less number of snakes and less venomous snakes.
Okay.
So mostly it's a good thing for everybody. So.
Yeah, it is. So which one are you going to be showing us?
I'm going to be showing the black king snake first because king snakes like to eat other snakes. So I'm going to handle her first. So I don't want to have Carly's smell all over me because, that's what she eats, snakes. So,
Exactly.
yeah, and then she's escaped.
Trying to come out.
Yeah. This is a black king snake, and how I know she's a black king snake, she's got, she's not very heavy. She's well, I think it's a he, but we call it a she. We really don't care until they have babies then. So she's smelling with her tongue. That's how she picks up all these scents. And that's how she knows that I've not handled a snake yet, except her. And she's the black king snake, so she is specialized in eating copperheads and rattlesnakes and any kind of snakes that she wants. So you can tell her by a regular black snake. Usually you don't see the snake's belly until they lift their head. Okay, the belly of the black snake is white all the way down. Hers is not. Hers looks like a piano keyboard. She's got a beautiful, beautiful belly and kind of yellowish dots all over her face. That's how you kind of tell the difference between a black king snake and a black snake. Black racer snakes are really skinny, and when they go through the field, their head is up, like kind of a cobra-like. Get out of there. Kind of cobra-like. So you can tell the difference when they're going, and they have their head up, like looking like, what am I doing? And they're long and slender, and they're kind of nighttime snakes, and they're big eyeballs. So that's how they tell the difference between the black snakes.
And you said that she eats other snakes.
Yeah, we don't feed her other snakes because it's expensive. But she also eats eggs, birds, mice, whatever. Everybody in here eats mice or worms or fish or something like that. But she would, if I had somebody give me a snake and it was dead, and I would probably feed it to her because that's her, yummy, yummy. And then she can eat copperheads and rattlesnakes because she's not immune. Her body kind of digests that venom, and she might be sleepy, but it won't kill her. So if a copperhead and her got in a fight, copperhead would bite her. Don't matter. She would already eat it and be sleepy anyway, and then she can fight off the venom. She can metabolize it, where other snakes cannot metabolize it.
Now, about how old is she?
She's probably 10, but somebody give her as a donation.
Yes.
Around 10 to 15 years. I really don't know the date she was born, but I'm saying by her size. She's full grown. She might be a little bit bigger because snakes continue to grow until they die.
Mm-hmm.
They just grow all the time, kind of like we do. Like I do. I just grow out this way. I don't grow taller anymore. Yeah. Yeah. So they grow all the time, and they shed their skin. That's how they get new shed.
And how many times do they shed this once a year, or how is that?
They shed whenever they need to. Like the baby snakes shed all the time because they're growing all the time. Kind of like you're changing clothes when you're a baby. They don't wear them a month. Yeah. So as snake ages, they shed less. So the rattlesnakes shed a lot of times in their first year, 2 years, 3 years. So every time they shed, they add a button. So you can't tell the age of a rattlesnake by counting its buttons. That's just how many times it's shed. And then if a rattlesnake kept its rattles from all this life, it would be from here to the lake. So they can't, maneuver like that. So they kind of fall off like your fingernails get yucky. So it's made out of the same thing. So when they shed, they add a button, and they only shed when they need to grow.
Interesting. Now, how many babies would she have if she were going to have
She would
babies?
lay eggs. Some snakes lay eggs. Some snakes are live birth, but it's really incubated them on the inside. They're clear eggs, like a puppy like it. She would probably lay 10 to 15. Most of our snakes are 10 to 15, maybe 20 eggs. But, the bigger the snake, the more the eggs. But sometimes, 10 to 20 is our normal clutch. And same with the turtles. They lay them in different places. Like, cause she might lay 2 or 3 clutches in different places. So whoever, like a raccoon, would get into her egg clutch and they eat them all, she's got 2 or 3 more somewhere else. So she would be an egg layer.
She's beautiful.
I know.
Love her markings.
She's my favorite snake in the world. She's my favorite. We used to have one when I first came here, a black king snake, and it was a boy, and his name was Elvis, of course.
Of course.
Elvis. Yeah. You better get in there.
She's beautiful.
I love her. She's my favorite snake. You stay in there.
And her name is Sable.
Sable. Sable is another name for black. So we try to name them. We got, we run out of names.
Yeah.
We run out of names. And this is Carly the corn snake. What are you doing, girl? She was raised. She's a big corn snake. Some of the biggest I've ever saw. She was raised by a little boy. He kind of got bored with her, but he done the right thing. He found a place to house her, and I said, oh, of course I want her. She's gorgeous.
Beautiful.
And the reason she's colored like this because our leaves are colored like this, and she's known for being in corn cribs. A long time ago we had corn cribs, and you wanted a snake in your corn crib to eat your mice from eating your corn. So that's how she got her name, in the corn crib or in the cornfields. Milk snakes got their name kind of like they like to hang around in milk barns eating the mice that eats the feed for the milk cows. So she's beautiful. She has the kind of the same belly pattern as the black king snake. She's gorgeous.
Beautiful.
And a lot of people think she's a copperhead. Copperheads have a distinct pattern. It looks like saddlebags. Like if it's according on how old you are. I know saddlebags. I got saddlebags on my motorcycle, and then saddlebags on a horse. But kids are taught. But if you look at them by the side view, it's Hershey's Kisses. But you rarely see a snake by the side. You see it by the top. So like an hourglass laying on the top, skinny on the back, and bigger on the sides. So that's how. But she's got squares on her back. So she don't have circles like a timber rattler. So she looks exactly like a corn snake to me. But what she's doing right now, she's smelling with her tongue. She's tasting the air. So she said, Rhonda, you don't have anything to eat off. These guys are fed every 2 weeks, but the babies are fed more often. Turtles are, everybody's got a different feeding schedule, and I'm responsible for about feeding and designing 72 animals, all my daily duties. So that some of them eat every day, some of them eat 3 times a week, twice a week. Some of them eat, the wolves eat twice a week. The big snakes, the big ones eat like once a month. You just have to know all their own schedule. And the little cute little garter snakes eat like 2 or 3 times a week. They're just like babies, so they eat different times. So
what do you feed them?
I feed these guys mice. I go get the mice and prepare them, and they're live and warm, but they're pre-killed. So if she's not hungry, she won't even offer to eat. So you don't want to leave a mouse in there running around and hurt her, because if she's not hungry, she won't kill the mouse. Because they don't say, well, somebody's going to hurt me. They don't do that. The mouse can cause her more damage than anything. So we pre-kill them. Well, I do that because the volunteers don't like to do that, and I don't expect them to do that. So everybody's fed. I think she eats about 5 mice. The black snake, the big black snake, his name is Bull. He goes for his name. The biggest thing he ate was like 22 mice at a time. So that's why you want snakes around your house. These kind. You necessarily don't want a copperhead or a rattlesnake, and I don't blame you. Come on. But they do. All snakes do keep all their the vermin down. I don't like mice and rats. They carry a lot of diseases. So a black snake can eat what? 40 a month? That's a lot of snakes. That's a lot of mice for one snake. So that's how these guys eat a lot of mice and rats and chipmunks. A lot of people say, oh, they're fuzzy. I said, that's why rabbits have so many babies. And rats have so many babies. Mice have 21 babies every time, and then all them babies can have 21 babies in another month. So there you go. So if we didn't have something to eat them, we would be overrun with stuff like that.
Exactly.
I was going to talk about a little bit about venomous snakes. Yes. We only have 2 venomous snakes here in East Tennessee. I'm not going to say West Tennessee, because in Tennessee we have 4 venomous snakes in Tennessee, but only 2 east of about probably Cookville and east. We have the timber rattle, not the diamondback, the timber rattler, and the copperhead. The copperhead, that's really nice. A copperhead is more seen because they're probably more numerous. They love the wet leaves. They love the damp, beautiful East Tennessee weather. And the rattlesnakes kind of like to be on the rock ledges and warmer on the south-facing slopes. So, but you can see them anywhere if they want to, or whatever they want to do. So we can see them by a little. You can't get up to a snake and say, well, what are you? Let me see your eyeballs and let me see everything about you. But there's little tricks that I'll show you in just a second, and you're not going to get out. Okay, a venomous snake, a non-venomous snake, when you look at her, this only counts for East Tennessee and right around here. They have round pupils like we do. We have round pupils. And they have like a worm-shaped head. These guys had a worm-shaped head. And the venomous ones now have like a triangular head. If you look at them, like if they're going through the forest, they have like a spade-shaped head or a triangular-shaped head. And you don't look at them in the eye, but you can look at them in the eye when you're in there safely or whatever. And now they got cat eye pupils. And they got 2 extra holes on their face. There's nostrils here, and there's pits. These are pit vipers. We only have pit vipers. West Tennessee has the coral snake, which is kin to a cobra. So they're not pit vipers. And they have round pupils. So they're all completely off the ball game. So I'm glad we don't have them. So that's the difference if you see this snake. But these non-venomous snakes can act like venomous snakes and flatten their head and say, look at me, I'm a venomous snake. That's just enough to make you leave it alone. So that's what they can do it for. And if you're out here, this comes in handy if you're walking through the woods or in the canning jars or in the basement or attic or whatever and find a snake shed. if you look at the venomous compared to the non-venomous end of the tail, you find your belly scales. There's one all the way across. And then when you find the cloaca, that's where they do all their business. It splits in two. Just like, okay. The venomous find its cloaca. See, that's cloaca. It's a bigger scale than that. And it keeps on like this. It don't split down the middle. So if you can remember, you know, our age, it's VH1. Venomous has one. So even little kids can be maybe to remember VH1. Venomous has one scale all the way down. So you can have one and you can know the difference between the other ones. So it's pretty cool to know if you say, oh my gosh, there's a snake shed in my basement and I can't eat jars. What am I doing? Is it a rattlesnake or a copperhead? Everybody thinks it's a rattlesnake or a copperhead. Any kind of snake. Especially black snakes, when they're little, they have a pattern. Like little rattlesnakes. But they're not. That's how they hide. You know, they're camouflage. So see the shape of the head? It's triangular, and non-venomous is not, kind of like worm-shaped head. So, but a few snakes are really well known to make their shape of their head in a triangle. That's the hognose and the water snake. They act meaner than they are. You know, they act, hey, look at me, I'm a venomous snake. So that's snakes. A little tidbit. Snakes cannot move. I mean, they cannot crawl backwards. They can only crawl frontwards because their scales only allow them to be pulled, not pushed. So, but they can move backwards because if they can go here and they can lift their head and they can turn themselves around, they can move that way. But if you go in a pipe and they just fit in a pipe and they can't turn around, they can't come backwards. A lot of, you know, some snakes die that way because they can't get. He's talking. Yeah, Odie's talking. Yeah, ain't he pretty? Yeah, he's pretty mean too when he gets in rut, but he's something else. He's scratching his leg from his antlers. We raised him in the park too from a baby. He had a baby bottle because his mommy wasn't with us no more. Anything else you want to know?
This is awesome information.
It's
taught me a lot. Now, I don't guess you've been going out and talking with any groups lately, but when you've done it in the past, do you go to like, where's some of the different places that you go and talk?
We go to schools,
snakes and things?
all the civic clubs, churches, Boy Scouts, Girl Club. I do a big, huge thing every year called Wilderness Wildlife Week, where I take, sometimes I take a lot of snakes. I do programs on wolves and bobcats and whatever, and I take as many animals as I can get with me that's legal. I can't take venomous animals anymore. They used to allow you to do that, but I can take a turtle if I keep it in a case. The snakes are just everywhere because we just let them go. You know, we just let everybody pet them. And that's in Pigeon Forge. That's a big, huge thing. It's all free for a naturalist. All the people that come is free.
That's awesome.
Anywhere that they need me to.
Well, I was going to say, as soon as the Senior Center gets back open, we'd love to have you to come out and do a program and things. So we'll be back in touch with you.
Awesome.
Rhonda, this has been great. Thank you for the information and showing us the corn snake and the king snake, and giving us some education about them. And they are very interesting.
You know, our mamas always said, you know, that's why I think we're all afraid of snakes, because our mamas wanted to keep us safe. But we got to get over that fear because, as you've seen, they didn't eat me up.
Exactly.
Well, I'll tell all kids, if you see a snake outside, leave it alone, because it don't know you and you don't know it. So just look at the beauty and say, oh, see you later. Come here if you want to touch a snake and get really close up. But, you know, we just now, you know, we need to get over this fear. The little kids are not afraid as the older kids, the older adults. The older you get, the more afraid you get. But the younger you get, the more free-hearted you are, because you've not been taught yet how bad snakes are. The only good snake is a dead snake. I hear that every day. But, you know, that's what we've learned. But, you know, if we had no snakes, we wouldn't. You know, I don't like mice. I'd move somewhere where they didn't have mice. I don't like them at all.
Well,
Thank you all.
It's good to have the snakes around to
Exactly.
control those.
Exactly.
Rhonda, this has been a pleasure and very informative, and we thank you so much for talking with us.
Thank you.
And hope you have a great day.
You too.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Hello, we're here at Bays Mountain with Bob Culler. And Bob, how long have you actually been here at Bays Mountain and doing what you do?
I've been here, working here at Bays Mountain Park now for about 30 years, a little over 30 years this summer. And I'm a naturalist here at the park. I do a little of everything, do a lot of educational programs, working with the animals, trail maintenance, just pretty much just whatever needs doing.
Okay. And who's this beauty that you have with you?
This bird that I have on my glove right here is, her name is Amadahi, and she is a red-shouldered hawk, which is a species that's fairly common around in this area. It's not one that we see as often as we see some of the others, but she's one that's fairly common around here. Amadahi is Cherokee for forest water, which is kind of their habitat. They like to live in areas that are near water and forest, so we see them around a lot of the rivers and lakes here in this area.
She's beautiful. Now, how long have you all had her?
We've had her here at Bays Mountain now for about a year and a half, I guess. She came to us in late March of 2019, as I recall. She came to us from Georgia. She was hit by a car down in Georgia and had a broken wing that didn't heal back right. So she can't fly very well. That's the reason we have her. She will be a permanent resident here at Bays Mountain.
Now, do you, what does she eat?
She eats mice. Here at the park, she eats mice. Now, the wild red-shouldered hawks will eat a lot of different things. They eat lizards and salamanders and snakes and frogs, in addition to small mammals like mice and rats and so forth. So, pretty wide variety in their diet.
Now, how old is she?
We don't know how old she is. She has to be at least 2.5 years old, I'd say. So she was full grown when we think she was full grown when she came into rehab. So she's at least 2.5 or 3 years old, as I'd say.
And how long do they normally live?
I'm not sure how long red-shouldered hawks live. Some of the birds can live 20 years or more, though, in captivity. Good bet she'll live in that range.
Now, does she go out with you whenever you go and do programs at the school events and things like that?
She's new enough that we haven't actually taken her out to programs yet, but that is the plan, that if we ever get to go back out for programs, she'll be one of the birds that we take to different events to talk about.
She sure is a pretty bird, and I could hear as you were getting her, she was letting you know about it.
She likes to talk a lot. She's pretty talkative, and so yeah, whenever we get her out of her enclosure, she likes to make sure that everybody knows what's going on.
Exactly. Well, she's beautiful, and I know you're going to tell us about another bird that you have here as well.
Yes. I'll go ahead and take her back, put her back in her enclosure.
Okay. Now, is she, whenever you take her out to the different places, and whenever we get back to normal, per se, will the kids or wherever you take her, will they be able to actually pet her, or is it going to be that you'd have to stand back and just let you talk about her?
Have to stand back at a distance. We don't allow anybody to pet any of the birds here at Bays Mountain, even the staff. We don't pet the birds. Partly that's out of respect for the animal. They are still wild animals. Even though she tolerates being on my glove, she trusts me enough to sit here calmly on my glove. She is not a pet.
Yes.
That's one reason. And the other reason is that birds, and hawks in particular, have oils on their feathers that make their feathers waterproof. Mm-hmm. And if you touch the feathers, you can actually rub that oil off of the feathers. And if you do that enough, it can actually, the feathers lose their waterproofness, and they can actually freeze to death in a rainstorm.
Wow. Well, great information. And again, she's what kind of hawk?
A red-shouldered hawk.
Red-shouldered hawk. Well, she is beautiful. Thank you for telling us about her.
You're welcome. Thank you guys for coming up.
And now, Bob, you're showing us another bird that you have here. And what kind is she?
This is an eastern screech owl, and her name is Gus. A little bit of a story behind it, I'll tell you here in just a minute. But Gus is one of our, I guess she is our newest resident here at the Bays Mountain Raptor Center. We've had her for just a little over, not quite a year yet, actually. I think about it. She came to us last October. from West Virginia. She was hit, another one that was hit by a car in West Virginia and had a broken wing that didn't heal back right, so she can't fly very well. And she is full grown. A lot of people see her and see an owl this size and they think it must be a baby, but she is full grown. She's at least 2 or 3 years old, we'd say. The story behind her name, like I say, she's a female, and but we named her Gus, and that's because when we got her, we thought she was a male. The way you can tell males from females with most raptors is the females are a lot bigger than the males are. And so because she only weighed 140 grams when we got her, which is about 4 ounces or so, she only weighed about 140 grams when we got her, which is perfect size for a male screech owl. We got her in October, and she stayed through the winter. We fed her, and she kept eating, and she kept gaining weight. And she kept eating and gaining weight, and she finally got up to about 200 grams. And that's when we decided she has to be a female. She's either a female or a monster male.
Well, don't you know it?
But, so
Like a female.
It turns out we actually had a genetic test done, and she is for sure female. And so she was just a little small when we got her. So, but now she's in perfect condition, or at least a perfect size for a female screech owl.
She is beautiful. And does she make a lot of noise?
She does.
Sometimes I know the other raptor we saw, you could hear when you were getting her out of where she stays. So I didn't know if this one makes any noise.
Gus here does make some noises sometimes. She has a funny little trill that she'll do sometimes when she's a little anxious. And I'm sure at night she probably makes some pretty interesting calls too. They're called screech owls, but they don't screech. So I'm not sure where that name came from. But they do make some pretty interesting calls, and a lot of fun to listen to them at night.
Now, what does she eat?
She eats mice as well, and in the wild she would eat night-flying insects like katydids and moths and things of that sort as well. Sometimes we give her mealworms or crickets as a treat.
Now, do you just have the one screech owl?
Now, she's the only screech owl we have, right?
Okay.
Now, one of the things about eastern screech owls is that they come in 2 different color phases. So there are some that are more of a gray color, gray and white like this one, and then there's a red phase, they call it, that's more of a reddish-brown color. And so there's 2 different color phases. They're both about equally common here in this area. Doesn't tell you if they're male or female or anything. They're just different colors. So it's a little bit strange. But one of the interesting things about this color phase is it's very good camouflage against trees. So whenever she stands in a tree, or if you look at her against tree bark, she almost disappears except for those big eyes that shine out from trees.
So cute. Now, how old do they normally live to be? Like if they were in the wild?
Screech owls in the wild, probably most of them don't live any more than about 4 or 5 years. In captivity, they can live up to about 17, 18 years, I think is about the most.
She has beautiful markings.
She does, yes. And she does disappear against these trees. If you want me to hold her up against one of the trees
see.
here, you can see. I'll, let me get over here behind you on this one. Careful.
Okay.
If you hold her up against a tree like this, she
She will blend in.
she blends in pretty well. With those eyes watching me. One of the interesting things about them and their eyes is they can blink their eyelids independently. So sometimes she'll have one eye closed and sometimes closed.
She is precious.
She is cute.
And I think it's a wonderful thing that you all do here, as far as these animals, such as her, who have been injured, and you rehabilitate them and keep them. And we've noticed whenever we've talked with different folks here at Bays Mountain that's across the scale here at Bays Mountain, that the animals, that's usually what has happened. So how does that process take place? Do people just call you, or?
If somebody, say, hits an animal with a car, or they find an injured animal or an orphaned animal, sometimes they call us. We are not able to take those animals directly, though, so you have to take them to a wildlife rehabilitator, who is a specialist that takes care of injured wildlife. And there are licensed rehabbers statewide, but they're able to take in these animals and try to help them regain their health and to the point where they can go back into the wild. And most of the time, if an animal survives, they can actually get it back into the wild where it belongs. Every now and then, though, there's an injury that's permanent, like with our birds here, that renders them less likely to survive in the wild. But it's not bad enough to actually have to euthanize them. And so in those cases where they can live a long, healthy life in captivity as ambassador animals, then those are the ones that we get here most of the time. So they have a good long life expectancy, like I say, but they're in captivity, but they wouldn't in the wild.
Right. Now, how many raptors do you all have here?
We have 7 birds right now here in Bays Mountain. 6
And
different species.
how many volunteers do you have that come out and help you just with the birds?
We have 10 or 12 volunteers that help out with the, well, they actually don't help out, they do all the work out here with the Raptor Center. I come out and I deliver groceries. I'm the one that brings the mice out here for them to feed. And then, but I get to do some of the mean stuff too, like trimming beaks and talons. We have to do that.
Yeah.
I'm the bad guy sometimes.
Yeah, well, sometimes you have to be that way.
Yeah, sometimes.
Trimming the toenails and all that good stuff. Well, this is wonderful for you showing us these birds, and great information, and good education information too on the process of how you got them and what have you. And we certainly appreciate you talking with us.
I appreciate y'all coming out.
Yep. And I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You too.